Hey everybody. So today we're going to take a beat off of this pocket operator, the original EP-133 KO. We're going to move it over to the KO2. Check out some of the similarities, some of the differences, how the workflow works on the new KO2, how it compares to the original. Yeah, let's get into it. So this is a beat that I made a couple weeks ago while I was on a trip. Made it in the original pocket operator. I was looking at some of my Spotify raps from past years, and one of the top ones from 2018 was Lucid Dreams by Juice WRLD, RIP. And so I was thinking, oh, I'll take the Shape of My Heart hook that he used in that song, originally by Sting, and I make a song out of it. So it's just a short little beat. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to let you guys listen to it from the pocket operator, and then we'll sample it into the KO2. So here it goes. All right, so pretty short, pretty sweet. Very simple song structure, so hopefully I can get this to where y'all can see it. But basically, I just repeat a couple measures twice, then I move into the build up here. Then I just kind of repeat some of these. I don't even know if they'd be called refrains. Then I kind of do the same thing, adding effects throughout, usually on the last beat of the measures. Yeah, pretty straightforward. So what we're actually going to do is I'm going to, instead of resampling everything completely, so if in the original pocket operator, you obviously had all these different kind of pads which you could store your sounds on. So the top are for the melodic one-shots, and the bottom section is for the drums. So if you look into here as it's playing to see what I was using. Definitely a lot of drum stuff going on. I think this is where I had my, this is the original sample, sped it up a little bit. Here's a clip of him saying meditation, and that's what I ended up chopping up was just this one phrase. And I think that's actually probably on one of these ones. So that's one where I chopped it up. Chopped up this, I don't think I use this one at all. So I think what I'm actually going to do is, in the end, for this video, I'm actually just going to sample the different phrases that I was using in this. So usually it's just like a 2-bar thing. Actually, all of these are going to be 2 bars. So the original 2 bars, the next part of the song, and then the final one. Some of these have like some different drum patterns on them. I think maybe down the line what I'm going to do is I'm just going to recreate those on the KO2 and actually have some of those drum patterns already pulled up here. So it's probably going to be the plan. So let's just start sampling some of these patterns in. And the thing about these ones is that since they're 2 bars, I kind of want to chop them into 1 bar each. So I'll probably do that, show you how that works in the KO2. All right, so here we go. So to sample, you just go over to sample mode. So one thing that people have been complaining about, and rightfully so, with the KO2 is a 64 megabyte sample size. I actually just ran into that issue today. I feel like I barely made very many songs, and I'm already out of sample space. So I had to delete a bunch of stuff, and that was with me sampling everything in mono too. I maybe had 1 or 2 samples that were more than 10 seconds long. Everything else is, pretty short. So yeah, that's one thing that people are rightfully complaining about is definitely could use a little bit more space to sample some things. So to sample, really easy. You're just going to hold a pad down. I'm going to hit play. I'm going to let go when I want to stop the sample. And this is just going to repeat. So it's not really that big of a deal if I miss it. I can just trim it at the end. So here we go. And now it's in the KO2. I did get a little bit at the end, so what we can do here is we can actually just trim it. How do I want to do this? So send. I do want send to be a one shot. Trim. Trimming, you use these knobs. Obviously, it's the same thing on the original KO. Other tools have much better ways to trim. I think the SP-404 has like the visual indicator for your sample of the sound waves and everything. It's a lot better than just trimming by time. But honestly, since this was my first sampler, this is kind of natural to me on the KO2. I really just want to cut off this part right here, so I don't have to go too far. I think that's probably it right there. And the BPM on this one is 125, so I can just go ahead and set that here. I already have it set. But yeah, to set the tempo, just click on the tempo button, move the knob around. You can also match tempo from your samples. I can show you guys how to do that in a later video. But for now, let's just kind of drop this in and see how it fits. I know this should be 2 bars, so to change the number of bars right now, by default, it's 1. Just come in here, hit record, hit the plus button. Now you're recording 2 bars. So right now I haven't chopped this or anything, so it's just gonna play through as a one shot if I drop it on the first beat. So and actually, so I put this on the wrong group. So whereas the pocket operator, everything is just here, and technically you have 2 groups between the melodic and drum. Nothing is grouped together in terms of being able to have different effects or have different volume or something. Everything is just kind of individual. But here you can kind of group all these sounds together. So I actually have a bunch of drums on this one from when I was messing around earlier, and also the sample. So there's 2 ways to do this. One, I can just figure out what sample this is, 358, and then I can go to another pad, hit the sound button, click on this, it's empty, hold the sound button, click on it again, type in 358, and I'm playing it. But another way to do it is actually, if I knew this one, this is exactly what I want. Say I pitched it up or something like that. Like, oh, it sounds great. I really want to keep this exact sound but move it to a different group. It's really easy. You can actually copy paste. So you hold Shift C. It's got this little lift up button. Then I go down to my other group, and then I hit Shift D, and that'll paste it on there. And it'll paste it with everything that you changed. So if I trimmed it, if I repitched it or something like that, and I want to keep that, that's how you kind of move it across groups. Make it pretty easy to do. I've already pitched this up on the pocket operator, so I'm going to keep this the way it was. And let's get back to sampling. So right now I have this here. I'm actually just going to move it over here. Sorry about that. I'm actually going to go ahead and put all these on groups because I don't want them to play together. So when you have everything in the same group, it'll kind of function as a choke. So you guys saw what happened where just now I was playing like both of them and they were both playing all the way through as one shots. But now that they're on the same group within the same group, if I start playing the other one, it'll stop it. And I'm going to actually just drop a random sound on something else so you guys don't have to listen to the whole thing again. So you got to go back to main every time. Kind of annoying. I always forget to click the main button. So this is empty, so I'm just going to stick a kick drum on here. So now they stop each other when they play. And somehow, this might be intentional because this is, or maybe I just accidentally clicked on that. Not sure. All right, let's continue sampling into the other pads. So I'm still in mono, and now I'm going to sample these two, and these two are the build-up right here, along with this one. I'm just going to recreate that in the KO2 instead of having to do this. It's basically just you know, the intro, this part. I'm just doing some looping on that. So the next section is this one here. So this one, I need to trim the front a little bit. Might have to trim the end as well, but we'll see as I drop it in. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. So actually the easier way to do this is going to be to hold down the button first so that I don't have to trim the front. It's just going to start exactly where this one stopped, or starts rather. Hopefully I didn't cut that one off too soon. We'll see. So actually I'm just going to drop all these in here and see how they work. So I'll put this one on. And that's one thing about how you can input into the KO2. You can either hit the record button and then hit a pad, or you can, you know, play record, so you're recording as you're playing. And that's the same thing as holding right on the pocket operator and hitting the buttons at the same time. So on the original pocket operator, you could have your thing playing, and then you could also hold the right button, and then say I want to like play more drums or something like that. You could do that. All right, so that should last 2 bars. That's on the 3. This one. And the 5. I'll put this one. And we're 125. So let's just see how all these chain together and make sure everything sounds okay. And one thing to keep in mind, I think I just kind of messed up the tempo there. So one thing to keep in mind is that whenever you hit the play button, let's say I'm on 5-4-2 right now, it's going to start over from 5. It's not going to start over from 1. I think there's a way to get it to start from the beginning, but I would just... And it seems like actually when I'm doing these new samples, it's taking it off that group. So I'm going to put them back on. I think that sounds pretty close. We'll see when we actually start looping them together with themselves. So heard the metronome throughout all of that. And that's because by default, the metronome actually comes in only when you're playing record. But you can go to the system settings and set it so that it plays whenever you're playing the song. So to do that, you go to Shift, System, scroll all the way over to Sequence, hit Enter, go to Metronome, hit Enter again, On means that it's always going to play whenever the play button's playing. Record means it's only going to play when recording. And count means it's only going to count you in. And to count in, you press the record button, let go, and then hit the play button, and it'll count you in 4 beats. I'm probably not going to do any recording, so I don't think it really matters which one I have it on right now. So I guess we can kind of go through scenes and how those work. Obviously, since this is so simple, I'm literally just playing the song over again. I don't really have to do all this stuff. I can literally just have them all in the same scene. But I'll show you guys how that works too, because I think that's kind of an important part of the workflow and one of the big differences between the KO2 and the original KO. So right now I have everything in the same scene. I'm in scene 3 somehow. So I'm actually going to take us back to scene 1 and kind of start over, especially because I need to loop these things. So the way that I'd crafted this song was basically I repeated this twice, and then I had 4 bars of this build-up. So I repeated twice, basically this first measure here, and then I went into these 2. So this is just repeating it twice per bar, then repeating it, I think, probably 4 times, then 8 times for the build-up. So I would say that's probably my first scene in the context of the KO2, because then it transitions to this next kind of group of measures, part of the song. So let's put these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're gonna have 8 total in here, and they're basically all going to be the same thing. And actually, before I do this, I'm gonna need to chop it up. Because one thing, if you've ever used a pocket operator, one thing you know is that if you have a one shot that's spanning over multiple bars, then the effects will be a little bit wonky because it's operating on the notes that are playing during that bar. So if you have a one shot and then you start doing effects on the second bar, not all of your effects are going to affect it the same way. So I'm going to chop this up because I do need to do that repeat on the first bar in these future parts of the refrain. So to chop it up, I want to make sure I pick the right sample. Then you do that. Shift sample to get the chop mode. And I'm just going to try and split this in half. I might be a little bit off there, but let's just drop it in and see how it sounds. So this will be on 1, this will be on 2. And actually, I think I set this to 6 still, so. Sounds terrible. So let's just go ahead and delete this pattern. I'm not sure if I accidentally double dropped something in there, so I'm just gonna try it again. And now so I think what happened was I just was not on. Somehow I put it here. So if you accidentally put a note like this where it should not be, really easy to get rid of it. You can just scroll over to by step, find the one you want to get rid of, hold the erase button, hit the pad that you want to get rid of. Now it's gone. There's definitely something going on with it though. So I know that there's a way to chop and have it go into the number of pads that you want it to. I've never done it before, but that'd definitely be a better option here. So let me try that instead. So what I did there is I went into chop mode, and I think that you can basically pick, do I want it to chop into a full group, or do I want to chop it into X number of pads? So then you choose how the number of pads that you want it to chop into. You hold both of them down. Hopefully it worked. Did not work. Yeah, I have the instructions right here, but it's a little bit obtuse. If you've seen the instruction manual, it's kind of hard to read. So it kind of just looks insane when you're looking at it. So I don't know if I'm really going to be able to figure out how to chop correctly from this. The one on the website is actually much better, in my opinion. Okay, here we go. So actually, let me refocus the camera. So it says here in chop mode. So the way it works is you basically hit shift. It's kind of hard to see because of the light. You hit shift, hit sample, you get into chop mode, and then you use the plus and minus sign to get the number of chops when chopping into A and D. So it sounds like I have to chop into another group. I don't love that, but it's fine. I'm just going to copy paste it from the other group into this one. So let's do that. Okay, technical difficulties. I was out of focus on my camera. We're good now. So TLDR, I realize that I'm kind of overthinking things a little bit. I actually don't think that it's worth trying to chop anymore. I don't think I need to. So I'm just going to see if it works how I'm thinking it will. So right now I'm going through and trying to figure out how many of these one-shots I need to drop in here. So I was talking about how when you're doing the comparison between the pocket operator KO and the KO2, you know, as I'm dropping in these notes here, how does that compare to actually like crafting a pattern in the original KO? So in the first one, you know, so let me actually just drop this down to 1 to show you guys a bit more of an apt comparison. So that was my sample that I'm going to be playing. So on the original pocket operator, that's the same as me just playing, you know, this first bar. And so the way that I had it was this is stretching over 2 bars. A one-shot start in the first bar. So this is just drums in the second part. I don't have any of that melody in here. So when I think about how that translates into the KO2, it's going to be the exact same thing. You know, I'm just going to have it in this bar, nothing in the next bar. So that means that 3 is the next time I drop this in. 5 is the next time I drop it in. And 7 is the next time I drop it in. And here is actually where I start doing all of my my repeats. So I actually need to think about how I'm going to craft that since I couldn't get the chopping to work correctly. So that starts here. This is when I want to start repeating. So in the very first time I repeat, I just repeat it on the bar, the start of the bar. So that's easy. Just drop 1 here. Here I'm doing every other. Oh, it just got like super granular all of a sudden. How did that happen? Is this always counting up to 8? I kind of just have my mind blown right now. I actually don't know why it's showing me so many steps now. I must have clicked on something. Okay, well that makes it easier, I guess. let's see what we have so far. Definitely got a little bit confused by the extra granularity here. So this I want to play on the 3. I feel like I had notes on here and I don't know where they went now. I wonder if I can just do this as a loop, make my life easy. I'm gonna play from here. I'm gonna erase everything. The only thing about doing it this way is going to be hard to transfer into another scene. So I don't love that. So, okay. Took a little sidetrack to figure out what was going on. And I realized that the reason why there are so many steps is because of the timing that you set here, actually. So if you have 32, you get to see every single one of those 32 steps. So that's why you can step through all of these 8 different ones per note. So if you bring it back down to 16, now you'll only see 4. So that's why I was confused for a second there. All right. So basically, I came in here. On this one, I want it to be, so the first one I repeat every measure. So I repeated 5 to 6. 7, I think I want to repeat. I think I want this to repeat every beat. And then here, I want it to repeat at first every 8th note into every 16th note, I believe. So I'll put one here. We already have one here. Put one here. And actually, what I do in this part is I was using one of the filters on, or one of the FXs on here to do that repeat. And also, I don't know if I was re-triggering on that or if it was an effect, actually. I might have misspoken. I think it was an effect. So let's just see how this sounds now. Sounds a little robotic, honestly. Let's see how it sounds like with an effect on it. Trying to figure out which one I would use. And that's actually what I was talking about earlier, where if you have a one shot that's covering 2 different bars, you're not always going to get that effect. So I was just holding it down. Nothing was there. It's just because it's trying to repeat nothing, because I should have had, another note there to repeat. It's not it. That sounded okay. One thing that I've actually been really liking is using this, the timing, to hold the repeat. So that's too much. That's okay. Trying to think of how I want to do this. Yeah, it's okay. We'll leave it as is for now. So that's gonna be the first scene. So all we're gonna do, it took me 40 minutes to get to this point. Shift, hold main, we're gonna commit it. Commit is basically save. So we're basically saving all the pads that we're playing at that point in time. So if I had like a drum pattern set to like, you know, pattern 1 or something like that, it would have saved that. I assume I was on pattern D1. So we talked about groups a little bit. So groups are just kind of a grouping of all these pads that you can play. So pattern, within each group, you can have a crap ton of patterns. I think it's 99 patterns. Honestly, I think that unless you're playing something very long, you probably don't need very many. So basically you come in here and you can set different patterns to play. So in this one, that's where I just put down all of my one shots of this. So let's go on to pattern 2, and we're also going to scene 2 now. So we're still in scene 1. To change scenes, you go to main, you go to the next one. At the beginning, it should just repeat the pattern that I just saved in the previous one. I think because I had already been messing with some other scenes, some are empty. So you can actually see that here. So if you see this little, I don't know if it's a flower, snowflake, or what, but if you see that, it means that with the group you're selected in, that pattern is empty. So the reason why you heard something playing is because this pattern was not empty. So you see that disappeared. This is when I was messing around with that chopping that I didn't like. So what do we have here? Oh, we got a bunch of stuff playing on this one. So let's just take this on as something random. Some of that stuff that I actually wanted to keep on that pattern. So let's come back to pattern 2 here. We're on random pattern on 11 here. Everything else is empty on the other patterns, on the other groups. So this one has something on it. That's actually the right one. I think when I was messing around earlier, I put it on there. So this one was same thing repeated twice, and then repeat that whole thing twice. So 4 total, so 8. I feel like I missed counting. Might actually just be longer than it feels. That was correct. That's that scene. A lot easier than the first one. So scene 2, we're going to hold shift, commit it. And then we're going to go over into scene 3 now. This one looks like I have some stuff on here, so I'm just going to delete this pattern. Gonna do the same thing. Check my other groups, all empty. So we're good to go. This one, similar thing. I think this is going to be 8 total again. It defaults to however many you were recording in the last scene. Makes it easy. That's going to be this pattern now, so we're going to play this on 1. Okay, so we have all of our scenes now, and let's just see how they play together, and work on how do you change scenes and all that stuff. I really hate that. Not gonna lie. Let's just let it play out. I'll show you how to change the scene. So there's a setting where you can actually change the scene. Let me back up a second. So by default, whenever you by default, whenever you change the scene, it changes immediately. So it doesn't matter where you are in the bar. Just immediately switches to the next scene or the next pattern. It's the same thing. But you can change it so that, I guess it's got to be sequence, yeah. You can change it so it switches at the end of the bar, which makes it nice for transferring between, like, you know, I'm playing one part of this and then I want it to play into the next part instead of like using it for like fills or something like that. So you can have it do it at the next tick or at the next bar. So I have it at the next bar. So all I need to do to change to the next scene is sometime within this 8 measure. I just have to hit scene 2 and it'll start playing that. So. Something doesn't feel right. I actually feel like this might be a bug. I'll have to go back in the video, but I feel like I put the right one on these. But now it is playing this one shot instead. It's incorrect. So I guess let's go through and fix this, and then I'll have to go back in the video. You guys will know immediately if this is wrong or not, but it feels wrong to me. I swear scene 3 actually just now switched to this. I know why. It's because I'm on the same pattern. So it's one thing to be aware of. You got to make sure that you're changing your patterns when you change between scenes. Or otherwise you're going to rewrite over it and realize that you're just an idiot. So we change patterns now. Let's go back to, so now this is the correct one for scene 2. So pattern 2, scene 2. So we're going to go to pattern 3, scene 3. And let's make sure. I think we have the right pattern on the first scene, right? Yeah, pattern 1. Okay, so we're going to erase all of this stuff. Easy way to erase, hold the pattern. So sorry, I got distracted there. So the way I ended this song is I just had like this random measure where I just played an effect over it, the rewind effect. I think the rewind effect on the pocket operator actually sounds better than the one on the KO2 for my purpose here, actually. So you can listen to it. I think that's going to be really hard to recreate with the stuff that we have here. So let's commit this scene. We'll go to scene 4. All right, scene 4. What do you got? New pattern. Don't fuck up again. This one gonna be really short. I know. I only need like 2 bars. I think is what I have in here. So let's just. I think these ones are actually crafted from those last ones that we're playing. So that would be this pad here. So the FX options we have here are not great for what I want to do, honestly. This is kind of like the rewind one here, or the tape stop rather. I mean, maybe I just gotta go into something like this one. See, I honestly don't really love any of them. I really do love the effects on the KO2, but yeah, I created this very unique sound, I feel like, somehow on the original pocket operator. I don't think I'm going to be able to recreate it. So maybe I actually just sample that one in too. So let me just go ahead and do that real quick. I think these pads are empty. I'm going to sample this measure. Where is that? Here, I believe. And erase these 2. Go into sample here. Hold my pad down. Sample this. And then let's go back into here. Let's drop this in. Let's give it 2 measures. And I want to be able to stop it after that, so I'm just going to add a couple empty measures at the end. Or it's going to default to what I had in there before. So it's kind of nice and also kind of annoying sometimes. So I think I'd started this this scene with 8 bars of recording on it. Some of them obviously had stuff from the other patterns. So when you come in here and you shrink it down, it'll actually remember what was on those other beats. So when you re-add those bars, those will still be there. So that can either be a good thing or a bad thing. I find that most times if I'm deleting something and then re-adding, or if I'm deleting the length and I want to re-add it, I want to get rid of those things. But I assume, like, if you make an accident and you accidentally delete something, it's very easy to fat figure on this thing sometimes. It's nice that that's still there. So I could see the argument going either way. I think I would prefer it if I just deleted things when I did this. But I could see why it's this way. All right, so I think that's everything. Let's just play this whole song. This has already been a much longer video than I anticipated. Don't really think the song sounds that great compared to the original, so I'll probably come back around and fix it later on. That's what I got. Let's listen to the original again because it's honestly way better. I gotta resequence this thing. 3 4 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 1 2 1. And it's kind of interesting because I did really enjoy this kind of, making your song. So I've crafted all these different patterns and then I just chain them together. I hit the play button. It's going to work perfectly. Having to, input everything is, I think, nice in some ways. You can definitely be a lot more precise than you could be with the Pocket Operator. There's a lot more options that you have. Like, I can combine all these different groups, have all these different beats. Then I can have, 99 scenes or whatever, and within that 99 different patterns. So there's a lot more optionality. This is very, very limited in comparison, I would say. But at the same time, I feel like workflow-wise, it's definitely easier to, just select those things like I did just now. Maybe some of it is just like, it'll come with time. Like, I spent a lot more time with this thing so far than I have with the new KO2. So we'll see how I do in a couple months. But here's the original. Honestly, I think that's way better. I wouldn't say either of them are amazing, but I think everything just sounds a lot more seamless on the original one. And honestly, a big part of that is, I'm losing some of the effects. Obviously, I didn't copy those over. This is just kind of repeating the same thing, like, 4 times, twice. So I think there's definitely, some effect work that I could do here. But again, that would require me to change kind of how I did those samples. Like on this one, it was just a one shot that runs over both bars. On this, I'd probably, because of the effects that are on this thing, I'd probably want to actually just chop each of those 2 bars into 1 bars, so that I have something play on every single one. And a big part of it actually too is the fact that I just kind of resampled here, right? So maybe that's an issue with resampling on this thing. I don't think I talked about that, but one of the reasons why I wanted to try to do this kind of port from the original one into the new one is because I wanted to see what resampling could be like on the original Pocket Operator. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that, and I'll probably fix this thing up. I might actually just recreate the entire thing because I don't think I can post this one specifically. But as an exercise, I think it was good. I learned a lot. Especially the timing thing. I did not actually know about that until today. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I am amazed if you made it this far, and yeah, have a good one.